Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
Exactly.
We lost Jonathan.
Oh, no.
No, Jonathan was just using his red X. So he didn't sound like Dave.
Oh, so if he uses his red X, he disappears from the...
Yeah.
I don't get to see his thingy anymore.
You don't see his
he
thingy.
uses his red X.
Oh, wait.
He's got a disappearing...
I'll tell you what,
he's
man.
got a disappearing thingy.
If you want to see my thingy, you got to get them kegels going.
It is slavery. It's just a different name. A lot of people don't realize what it is. And when we bring these ideas to light and make people realize, that this government force is the problem.
And to me, it's like I say, imagine you're an abolitionist in the 19th century, and these slave masters are giving you the same exact argument. Who's going to pick the cotton?
Hey, Seeds of Liberty. Read the show's description, please. Fervently complete the course, report him to the infantry. Finish him, deconstruct the fallacy. Seasonal production means it seems to spawn a tragedy. Peep the action, please. A fraction of the allegory. Corollary cadences complaining on a sadder story. Menial, recently reading into the thesis here. Mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though. Seeing is believing, yes, the reason is appealing most. Reading enemies is just enables you to see it too. Menial, recently reading into the thesis here. Mirroring the people.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seeds of Liberty podcast. This is episode 77. As always, the Seeds of Liberty podcast is covered by a BIPCOT no government license. This allows reuse by anyone except governments and the agents thereof. You can find out more information about this at bipcot.org or org if you're one of our guests in the Danilo chair tonight, Dianna Keiler. Hi, Dianna. How are you?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
Couldn't hold it in, huh?
I couldn't. But I didn't say it. I was like, oh.
No, I knew.
I wanted to so bad.
I knew where it was going. And so we have Dianna joining us again this week, and we also have our friend Jonathan Alexander from the RadicaLogic Podcast. Jonathan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
All right. And it appears we can see your thingy, so all is good.
Yay, Jonathan's thingy.
Hey,
I'm gonna have to put I'm gonna have to put the pre-show into the show somehow, so that makes sense. Anyway,
right? Yeah.
So this week I am back. Obviously, Dave did a good job last week with the show. I thought I listened to it today, and I was other than some sound leveling issues, I thought it was pretty good, man. I was happy with the crew you pulled together for that. So nice job, sir.
We had fun, man. I really like Andre coming on our shows when he can, and I just had some people from the group pull through to come on, man. It was fun. We just had a blast. If you haven't heard that episode, go back and check it out. We talked about how to privatize security a lot. We talked about security quite a bit in that episode.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect from some of those guys, but I thought it went pretty well. So yeah, definitely check out last week's episode 76, if you have not yet.
Cool.
Anyway, for this week, I thought maybe we would do something a little more positive. I mean, talking about what you guys did last week, talking about how things could work, and that's good too. But a lot of times we talk about depressing stuff, how bad the state is, how much it sucks, and how miserable it makes all of us. So I thought maybe we would touch on some more positive things this week. Maybe some action. Maybe some action type steps. Things that could be done right now to make yourself and possibly other people freer. For instance, we had talked about this a couple months back. Actually, probably back in February when I did that video. We had talked about the Operation Tubman Redux project that I was trying to get off the ground, and ended up almost helping somebody. They pulled the plug at the last minute, so it wasn't a failure on our side. Our little team came through and did everything. But lately I've been talking to some of the people that were involved the first time and some people that I've picked up along the way, and we were talking about trying to get it back going again and actually doing something with it and being a little more productive. So that sparked some conversations, and then I started thinking, well, what else can we do? So for anybody who hasn't watched that episode that we talked about, where we talked about it, or the video that I actually did that is also on our channel under the Abolitionist Abstractions tab, the whole idea behind that was, after meeting somebody who was in need of help to try to get the CPS offer back, I kind of came up with this idea of kind of relaunching the Underground Railroad and helping people that need to be kept away from the agents of the state for committing some victimless crime where they haven't actually harmed anybody, but they're being harassed anyway.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, that when we did that the last time, it was pretty cool. Like I said, we pulled together and we did everything we said we would to help this woman, and then she just kind of panicked and got scared off at the end. But we did it, in the meantime, there was a couple other things that we tried to take on, and through conversations about it, one of our friends, Dylan Robinson, who I can't remember if we've had him out here or not before. I think we might have, but he was.
You should definitely have him on.
Yeah, well, he has issues with microphones and stuff, and he only uses he either uses his cell phone or his tablet. But
no,
which doesn't.
Sorry.
Which doesn't. Well, he is.
Bad audio is a hate crime.
Yes, it is. Well, he is a wealthy, so we cut him a little bit of slack there. But he's currently still in the military, although he's supposedly getting out within the next couple of weeks, I think, finally. But talking to him, he came up with the idea of helping AWOL soldiers.
Right.
And, we tracked a couple of stories about that because apparently, well, knowing somebody like him, I find out about a lot more of these stories than I ever would beforehand. So stuff like that. And I think all these things, obviously, as I've said before, and I will preface every time, there is risk involved in doing stuff like this. However, the more people who take this type of approach, the less risky it becomes.
Right. It becomes more diffuse. Yeah.
Yeah, because it becomes more normalized. And it becomes, more of a regular occurrence until the point that hopefully whatever agency, whatever alphabet soup, organization is trying to track a particular person down, hopefully they're so inundated with not being able to find anyone or at least a large number of people that they're wasting so many resources that they have to kind of give up. And it's kind of plan I saw and what I hope for. So, like I said, I've been talking about that with some people lately, and I thought maybe reviving that and trying to encourage other people to give it a shot too, it would be a good thing. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that would.
Yeah,
I think it would be a great thing.
Yeah. I like it. I guess, not that I don't like to see people in trouble, but it piques my interest when I see, because I didn't see anything, come up in my notifications because, we talk about this on a certain end-to-end encryption app, and I get notifications whenever somebody says something on there. And we got something like kind of recently, and I'm not sure. I haven't been on the last couple of days. I'm not sure what's gone on with that particular situation. But yeah, I think it should be kind of an ongoing thing, personally.
Well, yeah, like I said, I would like it to be more ongoing, and I don't want it to be just us. I'm still hoping other people will decide this is a worthwhile venture. Because as I said at the time, and I keep saying, this wasn't about me. I wasn't trying to make this. The only reason I was the one out there talking about it is because, well, I have a couple of platforms to do so now. So you know what?
Right.
I might as well do it because I weighed out the risks and I weighed out the if this were to take off and become a more regular occurrence, obviously. The agents of the state would not be very thrilled at first, and they'll be looking for somebody to go after. And I,
at first, like ever, you mean?
Well,
So we have to decentralize this first, right?
Well, no, it's the whole idea was it was to decentralize it. It was to get just me be the mouthpiece to get the idea out there, and then to have people run with it. And then when things actually start happening, well, sure, they can come come after me and accuse me of hiding people or doing things. And at that point, I may be perfectly willing to open up everything to them and be like, okay, come look. Because I won't have anything. That's the whole point. That's the reason I was. That's the reason I was willing to put my face on it at first, because I figured, okay, well, once we actually do things, I'm not going to have any of the information. I'm not going to have any of the people. I'm not going to have anything except a few contacts, which will be, decentralized from each other in the first place. So they won't, contacts that may not even know each other. And other than that, what are they going to have on me? Nothing. Other than a video that I put out once, and then some follow-up conversations I've said about it. So yeah, decentralization is the key, because I don't, this wasn't an ego project for me. This wasn't something I said, here, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do. I said, no, here's an idea. I want people to run with it. Let's do this. Yeah. And I have gotten interest. Random people message me all the time when they've either come across the video or they've gotten to know me, and I've shared it with them. More than enough people have come back to me and said, hey man, I would like to help, just let me know how. And I've kind of just left everybody on hold for a little while because we weren't doing anything, but now I've got that bug in me again to really start pushing and doing stuff. So I think yeah, we're gonna, a few of us may, and hopefully more will join, kind of do that type of stuff. But things like that, I've been saying a lot about this recently too, that, the human shields, forming them around people who are about to get busted for victimless crimes. It could be anything, stuff like that. It's happened. It's not unheard of. Why not do it again? Why not do it with a specific purpose? I always come back to that whole thing that people don't realize what their true power is. Because that right there is a show of extreme power that most people have no idea they're capable of. And it doesn't take any force. It doesn't take any, all it takes you doing is literally just standing up and standing side by side a bunch of people. That's it.
Right. They don't understand their power. They're also, a lot of people are just still, I guess people with the mindset similar to ours, they may not understand their power. So there's that issue there. But then the general population, though, they not only don't understand their power, they don't understand that there's power in numbers. They probably do understand that conceptually speaking, but they don't see themselves as part of that. And they're also freaking indoctrinated. It's like, just to get people out of that mindset in the first place, that's a Herculean challenge right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But we all went through it.
Yeah, I know. So that's, So
that's why this is a small community, though, because most people aren't like that.
It's getting bigger.
It is getting bigger, and that's why, as far as my show, that's why we do it. And I would venture to say you guys probably too, is, look at the Seeds page over, I don't know, the first time I went to it, it was less than 5,000 people. Now it's approaching 10,000 on the podcast page. So it's growing, and it's really growing at a rapid pace. But for both of the things you're talking about, the numbers are what's going to make it able to succeed or not. And beyond that, having people in a lot of different areas within the country, I think would be key. Well, which decentralization you were talking about, but
it just I guess who's on the show right now. We're pretty much spread out. I would say. I don't know where you are, Jonathan, but
I'm way down in Mississippi.
Okay, so you're okay. So got two Southerners on here, actually three, because I'm from North Carolina, but I live in Colorado now. So so I'm in the West. We got. We're just the four of us. We're pretty spread out. So and most of my friends on Facebook that are in this quote unquote community are very spread out. So it's just a matter of kind of, generating a lot more interest, I think.
As more and more people hear the message, and hear that, hey, you've been indoctrinated into believing a lie, and more people wake up from this lie, it's just going to grow exponentially. It's going to snowball. And
hopefully, yeah.
I think, whoever wins president, once this election's over.
God, it makes my stomach hurt.
I think once that goes down and people see, nothing can be fixed, there might be some change in this geographical location. Fortunately for the rest of the world, this geographical location that we're in is kind of like it's like the all eyes on us. And it's gonna be a interesting time. It's going to be an interesting time because there's no way to fix what we're going down. So it is important to get these people that are on this failing, ship off. And getting soldiers to go AWOL is awesome. Getting them to throw down the guns of government and walk away is something that is awesome.
Well, convincing someone to do it is great too. I wasn't even talking about that. Like the stuff the ideas that we had bounced around were just trying to help people that already were, because those get announced. Mm-hmm. Those end up in either the papers at some point, but they also get passed around
in the news. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, but there's also like bolos and stuff that go out through the armed forces. And if you have people that are still in the armed forces that are, friendly to the cause, well, then you'll get this information too. So, stuff like that. It's convincing. Well, I hate to use the word convincing because it sounds like to me it starts to sound like I'm trying to force people. But like at least presenting
just like another form of indoctrination.
Exactly. Presenting this information and hoping that people come to the same conclusions or similar conclusions. Right. Doing that, I think, is the utmost importance, and I really wish.
I call it undoctrinating people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but again, you can't try to convince anybody. You gotta. You can try. You can try, but it's most likely not going to work, and it's not really.
Well, yeah. And I'm usually not terribly discouraged. Unless the person's just a troll and they're just trying to stir up crap. I forget I can't cuss on here. Wait, unless the person's a troll and they're just trying to stir up shit. Yay. If they balk at it at first, but they still come back and keep asking questions and that kind of thing. I'm encouraged by that. In a way. I know some of the questions are really stupid, like the roads and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. There were a lot of very kind of simple questions I asked in the beginning too.
That's part of it too. The whole, I was saying before, people. I think a lot of people forget where they were a couple of years ago, or however long ago they finally figured this out. And more and more, I see the newer people forgetting really quickly.
Yeah.
And just going into calling everybody a statist. Part of the reason I've been staying away from social media for the past couple of days because there's just been some stupid crap going on, but
oh my gosh, I know.
and part of me thinks that I've been saying this for a while, that I think when we talk about the numbers and if we're big enough in certain aspects yet, I think we must be, because I'm pretty convinced at this point that there's been infiltration by provocateurs. And that only happens when they're actually starting to get worried.
Like provocateurs, like from the government, or is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty convinced at this point. I've seen enough evidence of things that have gone out in particular incidents, and also just conversations I've had with a lot of people in a lot of different settings, and similar things just keep coming up with new people I come across. That's a little too convenient for me, and knowing full well what they are capable, what the government is capable of, and what they've done before, and what they're still doing right now. Yeah, you don't put anything past them.
They'll subvert any group and wrap it up into something that it isn't. Yeah, for sure. I think there's always going to be agent provocateurs, the CIA, the NSA, FBI, all those Homeland Security. They have groups, and they have people in every group that the government deems, anti-government. The problem, and I love it, but, the problem is they see essentially our propaganda all day. And I don't really care who you are. If you get strapped somewhere where you got to hear the same propaganda every day, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect you eventually.
Oh.
And it's going to start eating at you. You can, but only for so long, man. I promise. Eventually, propaganda will take over.
I don't think you understand the nature of those type of jobs. Their part of their training is to be able to just tune certain stuff out because it's the job they have to do. It's almost like stuff like that. They're given training beforehand, kind of like kind of like you would before somebody goes on an acid trip. Now, just remember, nothing you see is real. This is all make-believe. They're just making this stuff up. They're all crazy. Don't you worry. You'll be fine.
Right.
Just hold on to the wall and keep walking forward.
Stay away from mirrors.
I think about people like Edward Snowden. You know, he was in there and he saw, you know, the horrific crap that was going on. And but the problem with him, and, you know, the thing I'm still a little disappointed about is that he claims to still love his country. And I don't know. And it's just like I have a really hard time reconciling that. Like, how do you still love your country when, I don't know. I mean, you still have this idea that things can be fixed.
Well, they love the idea.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I love the idea of this country too, of course. You know, I mean, like from my childhood on up into my adulthood, but I don't know. I mean, it's just like I don't see how it can. I think he still has an idea that it can be fixed, and I don't personally think it can be.
Well, I think in his case, you have to understand that he literally gave up his life to try and fix it, and
that's
to
true.
begin a process that would fix it.
Yeah.
So he has to have.
He has a lot invested in that. A lot of it,
You know, he gave up everything for absolutely no reason. if it's not fixable, he did all of that for nothing.
Yeah, he could have easily defected to Russia and lived like a king for the rest of his life, legit. And you know, that's not what has happened.
Well, no, because he wouldn't have done what he did if he didn't still believe. Because on some level, he's said all along, hasn't he, that he would come back to, you know, quote unquote stand trial if he believed he could get a fair one.
Yeah, and he can't, not under the Espionage Act.
Well, of course he can't. But just that fact alone, that he has said that, quote unquote, publicly, I guess, because he's made video recordings and they've come out. But he, you know, that's his position. So he, you know, of course he wouldn't just run off, because he really does believe that it's just certain factions and just certain laws. It's not the system. It's not. Within any spectrum, right? There's always a, you know, extreme on one end. But with this statism, I feel like there's just an extreme on both ends. And, you know, he's just extreme on that patriotism end, that he thinks he can fix this monstrosity that the government has become. And there's just no way to. I mean, it's the writing's on the wall. At this point, expecting to get a fair trial from the government is the most ludicrous thought you can ever have in your head.
I don't think he does expect that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think at this point he has come to the realization that he made a mistake, that he was not going, that the system is not just broken like he thinks it is, that it's actually just, you know, that he thought it was, that it just needed to be fixed. I think he's starting to come to that realization.
Right. Yeah, it's corrupt to the core. Like, it just needs to be, like, taken
poison.
out.
Yeah, because even you know, from somebody like, you know, you talk about the patriot perspective, somebody who still believes in the system, somebody who still looks at politicians as some are scumbags, but some are good guys who are trying to do something, usually the guys on their side. How is Snowden supposed to feel when even somebody like, from what his perception would be, like Rand Paul, who everybody classifies as this great guy on civil liberties and all this stuff, he wants him to come back and stand trial and be treated like a traitor? You know, like,
there might be an underlying issue here, because maybe Rand Paul and Edward Snowden know that if he was to get like even a quasi legit trial, all of this stuff that he talks about would then be like wide open public record. It would be essentially giving him another pedestal to talk from. It would be the biggest trial ever. It would just kick O.J. Simpson's trial into the dirt and flush.
I think there's a much better chance of him being assassinated before he got on a stand.
Of course, that's, you know, exactly what would happen.
Well, you know, see, you say that, but that's one of those things that's a lot hard. I mean, it's not impossible, and I'm sure they still do it to this day, because, you know, the CIA and whatever other organizations have been known to be doing this stuff for decades at this point. But it is a lot harder to get away with somebody as high profile as Snowden these days without having the automatic implications
not
be
if
that
the Clintons get involved.
Well, this is true.
Not at the Who?
The
Not at the Who gets involved?
The Clintons.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Well, then we know how it'll end. He'll have 3 shotgun blasts in the back of his head by suicide.
Well, the thing about it is, though, is that
Like
Drunk in his
If-
Moscow hotel room.
if what we're alluding to is, is true, like if that has actually happened, that people that have spoken out against the Clintons in some way, shape, or form have ended up dead. Several of them seem to have anyway.
Several.
A huge coincidence.
Just
but,
a couple.
There's like 20 or 30 at this point, I think.
Quite a bit more than a few.
Yeah, well, anyway.
There was
so,
a few in the past couple of months.
But Edward
Right.
Snowden, just based on what little I know about him, he is a extremely conscientious and smart person, and he managed to get out of this country, without being caught. So he knows what he's doing. So I think if anybody has a chance to survive an assassination attempt, it would be him. Or anybody.
Well, God knows what he's
coming
probably
after
said.
him.
Look, Russia, I will give you this if you don't kill me. I mean that's essentially most likely what happened.
Well, he has.
They gave him asylum, but I mean.
Yeah, but just the fact that they gave him asylum, to me that would be enough for them to just kind of thumb their nose at the U.S. and that would be pretty much satisfaction in and of itself. I would think, in a way.
You would think, but why protect him for no reason? They're getting something more out of it.
Well, I think the obvious, or at least the apparently obvious reasons, just like because he went to Hong Kong, didn't he go to China first? He went to Hong Kong and then to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that is, well, okay, those are the again, taking it from the Patriots' perspective, those are some of the U.S.'s enemies. So you go there, yeah, they would most likely both be willing to harbor him. Russia obviously wasn't and has, simply based on the information he could give them. It's not even a matter, he wouldn't
you're right.
He wouldn't even necessarily have to promise to give them anything. I wouldn't think.
He probably just has someone in Russian intelligence that he has to talk to every week to see if they'll give him anything. It's probably something like that.
Yeah, but he's definitely an asset, I think, to Russia for sure.
Oh, absolutely. He's a chip. He's a poker chip right now, and he's it's very. They are. They're quite happy to have him, especially with everything else that goes on in the geopolitical landscape. With the constant stuff in Syria, which is always threatened to be the start of the World War III, because it's basically just a proxy war between the U.S. and whoever. Well, now Russia, but
have any of y'all seen the movie yet?
The new one?
Have not.
Yeah.
I almost have. I can't. Every time I try to find one,
you almost saw the movie. Explain that. How does that work, man?
You tripped, fell, missed the movie theater? What do you mean you almost saw
No.
Almost only counts
anymore.
I just went to the toilet
shooting hand grenades.
almost took
I couldn't
a piss.
find a good quality. I couldn't find a good quality stream.
Ah, there you go.
Okay.
Well, how long ago was that?
I'm just wondering, I'm curious about, because I haven't really followed any kind of, social media regarding the movie in terms of outside of our community kind of thing. I'm just curious. I'm just wondering if anybody has seen anything,
No, I haven't.
People saying wow, I didn't know all this. The U.S. sucks. Blah blah blah. Hopefully that it'll help people to wake up a little bit. I don't know.
I don't even know where
hoping
all
to see
it's
some of that.
playing yet, but I know that there was a senator. Where was he at? Virginia, or I think it was Virginia. He was going publicly telling everybody to boycott the movie. Don't go watch this. There's a lot of people trying to discourage people from seeing it. I was wondering if that would carry.
That would just make me want to go more.
Well, sure, absolutely, but I wonder if it would carry over into theaters not actually showing the movie because of that. If they could, like a big cinema in the South is the Malco cinemas. If they could convince the Malco people not to show it.
Well, it doesn't really matter how good a movie does now in the movie theaters at all. They're a relic and they're dying.
You say this about everything. I think you just like to cast the death shadow on everything, because eventually you'll be right, and then you could go, see?
Yeah.
Damn it, you found out my master plan.
I'm gonna be
Another
wrong.
Machiavelli among us.
Yeah.
Kind of like, hey, that's my title. Get out of here.
I'll be
No, I've
wrong
seen a lot of people
2,015
posting-
times, so I can be right once and throw it in your face.
A few people on my Facebook posted that they took a friend or two that were statists to go watch the movie with them, and it completely changed their mind after they saw it. That it was that strong.
Oh, wow. Now
Well,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that is
That's
awesome.
really good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
So I haven't seen it yet. As soon as I watch it, I'll do a full report on it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I mean, it probably wasn't Oliver Stone's best, but I thought it was really good, and I feel like it covered all the bases pretty well.
Yeah, well, I may have to go looking in the same places that Dave's looking, in order.
I mean, I saw Citizen 4 when it came out last year.
I still haven't seen that yet
was
either.
That
one's all right.
Dude, I thought that was really good.
I think you can actually find that on YouTube in its entirety.
Yeah, I think you still can. Citizen 4. Well, yeah, but it's getting the people in front of the movie to actually watch it, because how many people at this point? I mean, it's been a couple of years now, so the news cycle changes so fast, and the attention spans get shorter by the day. So by now, how many people just hearing the name will automatically go, "Ooh, maybe I should check this out," and how many will go, "That sounds vaguely familiar. Why do I know that name?" And get distracted by another shiny object and just move on. Because even when it happened, like I remember when all the
I was glued.
I was too, and that was definitely one of the things that pushed me into full-fledged anarchism for sure.
Well, it did. See, the thing is, I was already there beforehand, but that was one of those glimpses that I had when I was like, "Oh, here we go. Here's the thing." When I still thought there could be this one moment, this one event, this one situation, that would cause people to wake up and go, "Holy crap, we've been lied to."
Yeah.
And then just
at that point in time, I had already read Sibel Edmonds' book, A Classified Woman. I had already read that, and so then when that came out, it was just like, whoa. So it was kind of meant to be. I feel like the universe, kind of came together to make me an anarchist.
There you go, folks. That's how it happened.
Go back
It's
to how
as simple
small.
as that.
And then there was Mercury retrograde and all that.
Jesus, do not start with that woo-woo shit with me. I do not want
I'm only kidding.
Going back
Although
to
there
how
is a black
small-
moon tomorrow, y'all.
Oh.
Black moon tomorrow.
The moon is a holographic alien space shuttle.
Isn't the moon supposed to be made of cheese? What is it, moldy? Like, what the heck? It's black? I mean, that does not sound...
No, well, you know what a blue moon is, right? A blue moon is like when there's a full moon twice in a month. Well, a black moon is when there's a new moon twice in a month. A new moon is like when you don't see the moon. It's when
there's nothing.
It's in shadow.
It looks like there's nothing there. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so tomorrow night is going to be a black moon. So there's supposed to be all kinds.
Tomorrow night is
of
Friday.
All kinds of woo-woo stuff going on.
Spectacular.
And
just what I need.
HSBC and Deutsche Bank is collapsing today.
Awesome.
Black Friday. Black Friday.
Yeah. Well, I keep seeing the crazy, the more crazy individuals out there like screaming about the stock market, like warning up and down that something's going to happen like in the next couple of days. So somehow I have a feeling it's attached to all that.
Anybody putting a date on it is wrong and stupid, because the central bank is...
Well, I would say they're not necessarily...
Could crash it tomorrow. It could crash it tonight before we go to bed. So
Well, no, that's not going to happen.
It could be today. It could be tomorrow. It could be 10 years from now. The Fed cannot exist forever, though, is the point of the thing. It's just...
Well, it's unsustainable.
Yes, it's unsustainable. The math do not provide
the math,
that it will survive.
Well, yes, it's unsustainable, but I don't think it'll be in one of those in the middle of the night things. I don't think that's an actually legitimate worry, because they would have to, in order to pull the plug, it would shut. It would have to be the world would have to be notified because of everything that's tied to that. So that's not one of those things they're just going to do, like a bill they pass in the middle of the night. I don't really think that's a legitimate worry.
No, what I'm saying is the Fed Board of Governors could agree to raise the interest rates and crash the economy overnight. If you moved it up even to 2%, it would crash it. It almost crashed it when they moved it up 0.25%. So if they move it up another 0.25% and don't do QE4, which they already are going to do QE4, if they don't do QE5, essentially, the Fed's going to collapse. So they have to keep doing QE forever or collapse.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
They're in a death spiral.
Yeah, I think the Yellen was saying that she wanted to like stop that, and then Bernanke came back and said no, like that's not a good idea. And so, and you know, I think the thought was that they were going to go ahead and try to do that, try to raise interest rates, and you know, it's just like nope, not a good time to do that. So
not while Obama's
still in office. That's what I read recently. Anyway, yeah.
Not while Obama's in office. That would make the Democrats look bad, wouldn't it?
They'd figure out a way around it. It's because of Bush's policies, which there's definitely some truth to that anyway.
Damn Woodrow Wilson's fault, you know.
Exactly.
He wasn't progressive enough.
Just take it all the way back. Yeah.
Well, a lot of what you see before you today is Woodrow Wilson and his administration's fault.
Yeah.
They took the power and ran with it. They ratcheted everything up to 9,000.
Right.
And then he played a bitch boy. I did not know what I had done.
That's not
like, whatever, dude.
No,
yeah, you exactly did.
That is not a true quote by him.
No,
that's
a bullshit quote.
That has been debunked. Many
times. I mean, when you read how he got into office and who he associated with. He was a Fed banker president from the freaking get-go.
I thought he was a college president.
But he was all tied in with all the bankers, you know.
Yeah, wasn't he Ohio State or something
his
like that?
Friends.
I can't remember which one, but he was definitely
No, he was at Ivy League.
Oh, Yale or Brown.
Princeton, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wherever it was. Wasn't he like the president or something like that? Of that, that's how.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he knew people in high places. All I'm saying.
Well, yeah, he was definitely a bad man. But that quote that you started talking, there's a long quote that is often attributed to him, and a lot of people go, "Oh, look, he repented at the end and said I had no." A bunch of people took that and like went through all of his speeches and found the words or something like it in like 30 different places, and it was all put together. It was all cobbled together from different speeches, from different times about completely different topics, and not all the words are even his. So I don't. If he repented,
and it's in the Communist Manifesto, man. It's so the central bank plan to get all of the capital and then, abolish it.
Oh well, It's been a long time since I read the manifesto. Ever since I scared my ex-mother-in-law.
To gain control of a country, you must first gain control of its capital. They gained control of its capital with the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
That's what happens when you centralize things.
See, look at this. Why are we talking about all this depressing stuff? We were supposed to be talking about happy stuff and things we could do to make things better. And we ended up
John's not on here talking enough.
Well, I was just letting you run off with it, man. Never down the rabbit hole Dave was going to go.
Never let Dave go down the rabbit hole, Jonathan. Never.
Never.
Went from Snowden to the Fed in about 3.5 minutes.
It's all related. So
let's pull this back up to anarchy in action. What's some things you think we can do, Jonathan, to get anarchy in action here?
Pitchforks, flaming torches.
I was going to say, yeah.
Mohawks and Molotovs. No, none of those things. I'm just kidding. Civil disobedience. Let's start with that.
I take your civil disobedience and raise you a non-compliance.
Ooh.
Civil non-compliance?
No, it's not. Well, it's technically civil, but not civil disobedience in those terms is meant to be, it's directed at the system. Well, yeah, but it's not, and I've argued this with a couple of people, including our friend Jared, who keeps telling me I'm speaking in semantics. I'm like, no, because it says in all the definitions that civil disobedience is not. It specifically says it is not a rejection of the system as a whole. It is simply a protest against one particular part of it.
Operating.
And therefore, because you are because you are only unhappy with one part and not the system as a whole, it is automatically implied that you consent to the system in that way, which means doing what you're doing in protest means that you know full well that you're going to most likely go to jail, or that's a threat of it happening. You know that's a threat based on what you're doing, and you're willing to accept that to try to further your cause.
Yeah, it says on Wikipedia that civil disobedience is the active professed refusal to obey certain laws, demands, and commands of a government or of an occupying international power. Civil disobedience is a symbolic or ritualistic violation of the law rather than a rejection of the system as a whole.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
and all the definitions I've come across have some variation of that. They either call it a rejection, or they say it's not this, or whatever. So
you're just like, scrap that, let's go full non-compliance.
Well, yes, non-compliance, I believe, is more
peaceful non-compliance.
Well, yeah, it peaceful, absolutely. It does not. Well, for instance, I mean, I think I've brought it up on the show before, but if not, I don't. Even if I have, I don't care. Well, I'll talk about it again. Ben Stone's new book.
Redundancy is just fine here.
Yes, Ben Stone's new book. What is it? Sedition, Subversion, and Sabotage. I think that's
Field Manual.
Field Manual #1. Which of course is totally a work of fiction, and you should totally take it that way. But if you do get your hands on it, go to badquaker.com. He's got, I think the PDF is still, and possibly the Kindle version is still available.
Oh yeah, the Kindle version is still there. PDF is still there.
Yeah, so you can get it for free, or you can purchase a copy of it.
I got to get my paperback.
And yeah, I have mine. And it's a continuance of his Beyond Civil Disobedience series from a few years back on his podcast, which is where I got this idea originally, where I started shifting away from the idea of civil disobedience and realizing what it actually means. So there are ways that, anybody, I mean, there's plenty of people, I think, that do it right now and don't even realize it. Like when there's a law, regulation, whatever, and you completely disobey it because for whatever reason you're pretty sure you're not going to get caught, you don't care if you do because it's such a stupid thing anyway, or whatever, any of those reasons, you're technically engaging in non-compliance. If you are not actively saying, I'm gonna, I'm gonna go to, if I do this and they catch me, I'll go to jail, okay, whatever, as long as that's not your attitude, then you're actually engaging in non-compliance. So that's the type of thing. So again, it doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be forceful. You don't have to initiate aggression to do so. But some of the things that may or may not be talked about in that
initiating aggression is fun.
I guess it can be if you're into that kind of thing.
It's hard not to have like an inclination, though. It's like, it's so infuriating what's going on. It's like, I just want to blow up something.
No, you can't. I just think it comes from this realization that this fight can't be won with outright violence and aggression. That's not what we're going for. That's not how the ends can be achieved.
Right.
It's not going to work that way.
No. Yeah,
because all that's going to do is prop up another leader.
Yep, absolutely.
Another ruler.
Yep.
Well, yeah, it hasn't really worked out that way so far.
No.
I mean, the only example people used to try to point to was the United States. And you can't even realistically or rationally point to that anymore and say, see, we're better off. Because if you look back at what kind of control King George actually had at the time compared to what type of control, or at least the illusion of control, that the government currently has on most people, it's no contest. So you can't even say that. And even if you say, it took some time, no, it didn't. It started downhill right away.
Well, folks like us, we see that as an illusion, but so many people don't. For them, it's real. It's real control.
Yeah.
But they're okay with it because they're safe and secure.
Well, yeah, that's why I always try to stress that the idea, and it is just an idea, the idea of government that you have in your head, that's just a false safety net. That's just a blanket of security that you have in your head.
It's a really shit blanket is what it is. It's all warm and comfy and everything, but it smells to high heaven.
It's all warm. Yeah, it's a blanket that will kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's nothing more than what government is. It's just
it's a shit blanket.
False sense of security. True security.
Just
comes
replace every
from
time you want to say
preparedness
government.
and
Just replace
yourself.
it with the phrase "shit blanket."
Exactly.
See how far you got in conversation with people. This should be a good experiment. Everybody should try this. I think I'm going to.
I normally replace government with slavery.
Anytime somebody says the word government, I'm going to say, "Oh, you mean shit blanket?" Just to get the conversation started.
Yeah. Shit blanket should build better roads and rebuild the infrastructure. Shit blanket's got to do something about these damn gays. Shit blanket better stop
For anybody
these
listening,
damn migrants.
For anybody listening to the first time, they hear the Southern guy screaming about gays and immigrants.
Damn illegal.
Dave doesn't mean it. He'll bake you a cake. How about that? If anybody's upset, Dave will bake you a cake.
He doesn't care where you want to stick your thingy.
No.
Not at all. Well, unless I'm involved. If I'm involved, then I care quite a bit.
He's lying.
Yeah,
He's a human cushion. Every Friday night, you can catch him on any corner.
No, I give him the benefit of the doubt. He probably has preferences of where he likes it and in what order. I mean, come on.
In what order?
Yeah, but all preferences aside, he's like a porcupine in reverse every weekend.
Oh my! Oh, we might have to fist fight next time I see you, John.
Okay. I'll let you shoot at me. I have no fear of you hitting me.
Okay, all right.
So, see if my Photoshop.
You will rue the day you said that.
If my Photoshop.
Bury the lead.
If my Photoshop
You'll be
skills are
bleeding out
better.
from the femur.
Anybody with good Photoshop skills out there, I need Dave in a stormtrooper uniform. Thank you.
Oh Lord.
Because they never hit anything.
Nope.
Well.
That'll be our best viewed meme, most likely, I'm sure.
Go ahead, start this myth up.
I think we're already past that point, Dave. I'm already at the point that I'm kind of believing him, so, you know.
Believe what you want. Proof's in the pudding.
Hey, I have a witness to that.
All right. Well, now that we've gotten
inside baseball.
Now that we've gotten sidetracked.
Yeah. Let's get back to the practicality of the non-compliance in real life. What people can do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, it doesn't have. I mean, group efforts are even better, and that in the stuff I mentioned earlier, things like the human shield type deal, that would be an act of non-compliance, and it would, because they would be ordering you to stand down, almost definitely, and if you're 20, 30 strong, because like I said, it's happened a number of times across the country. It doesn't get a lot of press, obviously, but it happens, and they always back down because you have 20, 30 civilians. You can't cover that one up. If you just start shooting at people, that's going to be
not now where all of them are live streaming it.
Well, exactly. So that type of stuff. And again,
I don't know. Cops kill 6-year-old kids with body cams on. So.
Well, okay, but again, that's a horrible story that I still haven't even looked too far into that because my kids are almost that age, so I don't even want to
I know, it's awful.
It'll just make my blood boil, but.
The cops randomly gunning down someone is one thing, but them in like an all-out gunfight with a group of people doing nothing.
Well, yeah, that's
a different story.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, like what's going on in North Dakota right now? I mean, they are, aiming their firearms, or they've got the cops that are there have fire. I need to read more about it, but none of the protesters have weapons. Which
no, they surrounded them in armored vehicles and guns out and the body armor.
Arrested them, took them off there. I think they're all gone now. They
were actually dropping chemical weapons on them.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
See, I couldn't. It's so hard to get stories off of that because there wasn't a lot of coverage on it, and the stuff, even the stuff on the alternative stuff. It's so going back to what I was talking about with provocateurs and stuff. There's a lot of that stuff in the alternative media already. I see it all the time. Stuff that's blatantly false, but purported as fact, and it's not satire.
Yeah, you have to be very careful.
And I think too many people are still too on edge from their, from figuring all this stuff out, that they get so hyped up, and anybody who's conspiracy minded to begin with just falls down those rabbit holes and just keeps going and going. And there's so much out there, and there's more stuff every day, and there's more BS being pumped out there every day. And, it's really tough for people to get organized and do this stuff. That's why I said, like, the group things are good, but there's plenty of things you can do as an individual, that if you can drop the idea to other people and hopefully they pick it up as well, you're still doing it individually, but you're doing it. We talked about this on the Feens the other night, Chandler and I, a collective of individuals, because you're working towards a common goal, but you're working individually, and you're basically doing your own thing. So you're still kind of decentralized. You're basically decentralized, but you're just working towards a common goal.
Yeah, there's no leader to take out, so it just keeps trucking.
Yeah.
It's just like filing federal income tax. I haven't done that since 2009, and I always try to encourage people.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't, but if anybody who is in a situation where they can avoid doing it, I'm one person. But imagine if half the population just didn't file a return.
Right.
They don't.
How that
Well, yeah, that's
Well,
true.
well,
I was going to say, that occurred to me. They don't. You're right.
Okay, but take
You
half
have to say half of the tax-paying population.
Well, even those that don't still
much.
file a return, they get the earned income credit and things like that. People that don't actually,
I don't even think it would take 50% of the actual taxpayers, like the people who actually. Well, because you can't really say that, because those people do pay out of pocket into the system, and they just get it back at a later time, or the people who get credits get it right away, but other people get it back at a later. So like you're still paying into the system at times, and you're getting back money that's been inflated, a couple times since you put it in there, depending on the year these days, and. So you're still getting punished that way. But yeah, I'm the same as you, man. I stopped in 2013, and I encourage people as well. Find a way, if you can find a way out of the corporate structure that currently is for, like people tell me, I'm stuck. Okay, yeah, if you have one of those jobs where you're getting it, you have a W-2 or W-4, whatever it is. It's been so long. I've run my own business that I don't even remember. But if you're, if you're in one of those positions, okay, I understand that it's tougher, but try to find a way.
For me, I work for cash, and I found a way to work. I work for myself. I get paid largely in cash. Some people pay me checks, but the 1099s I get, if they ever really backed me into a corner over taxes, I get so few 1099s from the venues that I do work for. They couldn't prove any amount of money, that I couldn't itemize my mileage and equipment purchases and not have them owing me money at the end of it. So there's kind of a way out on the back end if they ever really pressed me. But in the meantime, I'm providing a living for myself where my conscience is clear as far as providing financial resources for things that they do with the money they steal from people that I don't agree with. And there's a peace of mind in that. But also it hinders the system. And if more and more people jumped on that bandwagon, keeping the money out,
it would become unenforceable.
Sure. And that's just one little part of my life. There's things I can't avoid. I have to buy a car tag, and of course there's the local sales
I haven't
tax.
done that yet. I've been in Colorado almost a year and I still haven't done it.
Yeah. Well, those are the things, every time I go to the store and buy groceries or whatever, I have to pay the sales tax. But other than that, I am so out of the system at this point that I don't even have hardly anything in my name.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing to do. I mean, it's in terms of positive things that people can do that will buck the system in a way. The other thing that I had really wanted to start getting into is stopping using Federal Reserve notes altogether and trying to use only cryptocurrencies and stuff like that, which is very, very difficult. I mean, there have been people that have demonstrated that they have been able to do that in some way, shape, or form, but it's a lot harder because it's not
cool thing
widely accepted. Yeah.
There was a really cool thing I saw the other day. You could get like 20% of your paycheck routed into this service that would then put it into Bitcoin. And then, obviously you can get that account and get a Swift card or a Shift card and, spend your Bitcoins that way.
Yeah.
Just like you would anywhere a Visa would.
Right.
So
yeah. I mean, it can be done.
100% of your paycheck sent there. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to know more about this.
I can't remember the service. I don't know what, I'm not vouching for them or anything. I just thought it was really cool.
But yeah, like in my situation, I'm working for a corporation, and they take taxes out, and I've tried to have it so they take as few out as possible, to where I don't feel like I'm going to have to.
You can write exempt.
I could do that. But I guess I would rather not have to deal with potentially having a large tax extortion bill at the end of the year too. So I'm trying to make it so that it at least comes out at even. But even then, they're still extracting, money from you that you've earned. Even if you do have what's left routed into, say, an apparatus like that.
Yeah, exactly. They're still going to get you for it if you're in that system.
Unless like Dave said, you write exempt. Was that Dave that said that, or Jonathan?
Yeah.
That was Dave.
Yeah, it was Dave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you could, or like I said, you try to find your way out of that system.
Right. I know.
From what I've heard with the federal, with the IRS, as long as you keep filing, as long as you don't stop filing, you're good. If you've never filed before, you're good. They won't ever come after you. And if you just keep filing, even if you write exempt or zero, like I owe you $0, their system is so, for them to fight it, they lose money and all this. It just depends on how much money they can get from you and all this other stuff. But it's when you stop filing the income taxes, that's when they come get you.
So when you stop filing the 1040 or whatever.
Again, we're talking about the two of us that have been doing it for a few years, even longer than I.
I'm 7 years in at this point, so.
Oh, I mean, there's been people that have been 15 years in, but eventually they get you, and then they jam you up hard.
Like I said, that's fine, because when they pull out these little 1099s for the handful of venues and showed that I made $5,000 that year, and I drove, enough miles that I can itemize mileage in excess of $8,000 or $10,000, and then I have $3,000 in equipment purchases for that year. Okay, let's go ahead and file this shit, and you could give me my refund, because I lost money that year. I don't even know how I survived. If it wasn't for charity of friends and family, I would have starved to death. But thank you for auditing me, and let's see what kind of refund I can get off this.
Yeah, well, that's exactly that's why they don't go after the people that make under a certain number, because it's not like you were saying, Dave, though, it's not cost effective. It's not, they lose,
It's really not.
The other thing, if you are in a situation like I'm in, if you can in any way possibly do it, try investing a lot more of what you make in, say, an IRA or something like that, which is money that's tax free, and so then you have a lot less that you would end up having to pay at the end of the year. I mean, if that's possible. I mean, if that's something that you can afford to do.
That's if Hillary doesn't get elected and put the 65% inheritance tax. That's straight out of the communist book, too.
Oh, let's not.
There's no way to say.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is the best option in my opinion. Bitcoin and gold.
Yeah, but again, you can only do so much with that right now. So for the foreseeable future, it's much, much, much more convenient for the average person to still have that they don't have much of a choice to deal with offerings. Because somebody like myself who would like to be completely done with them, well, my client base isn't like that. But I'm trying to go into a new venture where I'm going to try to start on the ground floor with that attitude, so hopefully more people are willing to at the beginning rather than getting used to something and then going, I don't want to change all these years later. Which, is a common thing. Well, a lot of people are like that. They kind of get set in their ways with that. And it's just like, why would I want to do that when I can still do this? You're not taking this away, right? Well, no, I would just prefer. Okay, well, yeah, I'm just going to keep doing this then.
Yeah. And people should not be afraid to approach people. I have found everything from a dentist to an oil change place for my getting my car worked on that I have convinced to accept cash payment under the table tax free. And think about that. I actually have gone and gotten dental work done for cash, and it cost me less to get the work done than I would have paid as a copay and deductible if I had insurance I was paying hundreds of dollars a month for. And like the oil change guy, I went in there and they always ask you, you're going to pay cash or card or whatever, and I just strike a conversation up with the guy. I'm like, well, what if I did pay cash? You're going to give me a cash deal where you don't have to pay taxes on it and you can put that in your pocket? And the guy will look at me crazy, and a few minutes later he comes in the room. He said, you know what, man, I tell you what. And ever since then, I get my oil change done for a fraction of what I used to get it done for. And you just don't do any paperwork on it.
Well, yeah. There's people, exactly, but you got to seek them out, which, again, for a lot of people, they're a little too sedentary, I guess.
Well, they're too timid to do it, and of course me, I'm that guy that'll walk in there and
I always
mama joke to somebody I never met. I don't give a shit, but
I don't know about the yo mama jokes, but I will I will strike up conversations like the ones you're referring to. I mean, heck, I got the Honda dealership up the block for me a couple of times to accept. Listen, I called them ahead of time, and I'm like, let me speak to one of the managers, and listen, if I give I would rather pay this rather large bill in cash. Do you think it could help me out? And they did. So, it's possible to do.
Yeah, go figure.
So you struck a deal with them, and they charged you less than they would have ordinarily?
Well, they took all the taxes off. They took, which was like a couple $100 bucks. It was like a $1,000 bill or something. So.
So it's like a double win because you get to pay less money and you're not paying fucking taxes. It's
yeah, and they're not either.
Win-win.
What they do
and
with
they're
it is
not either.
What they're doing with it is not my problem. But as long as they're willing to make that deal with me, and like Jonathan said, you can do that, especially at smaller places. It's usually a lot easier to do that. But it doesn't hurt to ask, especially if somebody sets you up with that line that Jonathan just said. If they set you up with, are you paying this or this? Right there, you have an in right away.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a matter of, if you're a little more nervous and you don't have that, well, then, yeah, it might be a little daunting to think about actually trying to start that conversation up. But when you're given an in like that, there you go. Just take it. And if they say no, it's not a big deal, What's the big deal? Okay, it's not like they're going to...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not like they're going to turn you... They're not going to call the cops and say that you tried to pay no tax or something like that.
You never know.
So this is like okay, even the most hardcore statists I've come across wouldn't do something that crazy. So I don't think that's a legitimate threat. Like, they may just look at you funny. Okay, whatever. Then if you find another place to go back to next time, if it really bothers you that much. But it's not like a huge problem. It's, for the most part, they're just going to look at you. Okay, no, I can't do that. Sorry. Okay, that's it. Do you guys have those things where, like, the state will say there's no state taxes on anything, in retail stores this weekend or this day or whatever?
Oh, yeah, like for back to school sales and things like that. Yeah, like weekend type. That
was never an eye opener for me. I don't know why, but just looking back, just the ludicrousy of the whole situation is hey, we'll stop robbing you for a day, so that these people can make money now. It's kind of ludicrous. It's like the pirates are going to leave town for a little while.
Well, yeah,
right.
Back then you weren't looking at it as theft, so. But I get, we do have that here because it's also because they had to do for a while. They were trying to do it more often in New York because a lot of people, especially people that live closer to the border, will just drive over to Pennsylvania where they have no sales tax on clothes anyway, and haven't since I lived there. 20-something years ago at this point.
Yeah.
So.
I remember that when I was there too, when I was a kid, and that was a little bit longer than 20-something years ago.
That's what all the it's like you live really close to the California-Oregon border. Like you'll go to Oregon to buy stuff. You don't.
Well,
shop in California.
So in order to quote unquote compete, most states, most states in that situation have to do something because otherwise they'll lose a lot more of their revenue.
Yeah, sure. Groceries are the main thing. A lot of states don't charge tax on groceries.
The revenuers.
Florida didn't, and then I moved here and like, damn, that extra almost 10% added on the bill. It starts adding up.
Well, yeah. So again, there are ways that you can there are ways that you can get around this right now. You just gotta seek people out. You just gotta ask questions. Honestly, especially for people who are voluntarists and talk about a peaceful society and talk about, the non-aggression principle and stuff like that. What better way to start engaging with people and start, essentially trying to lay the groundwork maybe in your community by doing stuff like this and just starting conversation. It doesn't necessarily hurt to be friendly, does it? In most situations, no. So, there you go. And then it's like Jonathan said, if you get one place that'll do it every time, well, there you go. Now you have a permanent relation. Well, as long as you need to, a permanent relationship with these individuals.
Yeah.
Basically, some
ongoing relationship.
Yeah, there you go. That's the term I was looking for. And then who knows what can come of that too? Maybe you become friendly enough with it to strike up other conversations with them while you're there or something like that.
The guy at the oil change place may have a cousin that does body work if I need, something done to my car. Or, he might know an AC repair guy if I need AC work done. And, you get into agorism. I actually went and installed a security system in a guy's house in exchange for some auto work one time. And
have you checked with Schulman to see if you're qualified as an agorist?
Do not bring him into this conversation. F.J. Neil Schulman.
Schulman.
Hello, Schulman.
Oh. Little Seinfeld reference there.
Yeah, that's
sorry. I couldn't help it.
A big long mess.
I was waiting for somebody to bring up agorist.
A big
throw that in there.
A big long mess.
Agorism.
The guy
like, here's my chance. I'm pouncing on that.
It's kind of hard not to, but yeah, let's not talk about him. We talk about him in a couple of things. But yeah, no, agorism is great. I mean, or what you were talking about was just a straight up barter, and that's I offer that to my clients too. Not too many, nobody's really taken me up on it, but I've offered it. I've said, hey, if you've got a service or a product that I would like, or I could turn around and make use of in some other way, I'd be more than happy to trade you with that instead.
Right.
Because another thing I do that you were saying that you still have to take checks from some people. I just flat out refuse to take those at all. And I only accept. Well, no, I shouldn't say only, because I receive mostly cash and gift card, because the people on the other side realize that they could still pay me in that and still write them off, still write gift cards off on their returns. So they would prefer to do it that way, and I'm like, fine, and I just take those. So that's another way that you could, you're not really. I mean, yes, you're still using the FRNs in theory, basically, but you don't have to, those aren't tracked any better either. They're just anonymous cards. So you can receive payment that way, or like I said, you could just straight up barter, or the cryptocurrencies, or you can find people that will take gold and or silver. All these things.
Yeah. Do you have anyone currently, Jeremy, that would be willing to pay you in Bitcoin?
Unfortunately, I've left it open as a payment option for over a year and a half now, and I've had exactly one purchase in Bitcoin, and that was by a friend of mine who used my service one weekend when he came down from out of town.
Okay.
So, and he was the only one that so.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep offering it. More people are asking me questions these days, though. So
that's good.
I take that as a good sign. And as I've spoken about before, I have started becoming just more open in general and talking about more things and starting more conversations with certain clients, especially the ones that have been with me for more than 5, like at this point over 5 or 6 years, because I have some people.
You can't be an agorist and have agoraphobia.
That should be on a T-shirt, Dave. That should be your next T-shirt. That's good.
Yeah. And on the back it should say, "Dave's not here, man."
Hey, man, it's me.
Well, so that's so like I said, you can do these things now. That's the thing. And you get, Dave's right though. All jokes aside, you got to get kind of out there. I mean, you could try to live as a hermit, but it's a lot harder to, strike deals with people and strike relationships that could lead to deals with people.
If you're a hermit.
Yeah, exactly. Even me, who goes into hermit mode quite a bit. I've done it through most of my life, but even I have to get out there. And like I said, that's why I've been getting out there with clients that I've known for a long time and sharing my views a little more openly. And more people, like I said, more people are coming back with more questions. So that's a good thing. And I encourage more people to do that. So like all these little things you can do right now, like I talked about earlier too, things like
just don't shut up.
Well, don't shut up, number one, but also, just disobeying stupid laws. If you want to be even more brazen about it, do it publicly and videotape it. Better yet, have somebody else videotape it. That's usually even a better thing because you have a backup that way. So you can. So just to start conversations, and there's so many rules, so many regulations, so many laws, so many all the garbage that there are some ridiculous things that you technically could be arrested for breaking the law, but like if you can do it and just get attention from the people and not the police, because it would be something so stupid that they wouldn't do it, but just to prove a point, if you want to get out there and do that too. But all these things can be done right now. Like I said, I try to live as free as I possibly can right now. I'm not waiting. I don't know how many more years I have on this planet. So I'm just going to take advantage of it while I can, and I weigh out the risks of everything I do. And I take, obviously, a lot of people think I don't take my kids into consideration, which is ridiculous. Of course I do. I'm doing this for them.
What?
But I do this, well, mostly my family. They all think I'm nuts.
Right.
But I'm like, whatever. I'm doing this for them. And I've weighed the risks, and I know that they're in good hands even if something happens to me. So,
Yeah.
It would be burning you up if you didn't get to talk, Jeremy. It would just be eating you up inside.
Oh, yeah. But that's just, I get to do that now a couple times a week. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about getting out and living. And by doing so, by getting out there and doing these things and just taking on this attitude, what you are doing, once people realize, once people see, maybe ask questions, realize that, hey, well, nothing's happening to them for not breaking this thing, and it is silly, it is whatever, like, you start building trust with other people, and all you're doing is leading by example. And that's all I try to do. I try to go out there, act now, anarchy now, as our friend Paul Gordon likes to say.
Yeah.
And I'm with him on that. I think it's
well,
so many people.
And I think
go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, like, just touching on what is something that I think you mentioned earlier about how most people, if they really thought about it, not necessarily, like, are non-compliant, like, all the time, but, frequently non-compliant. And also, too, they kind of, like, most people generally live their lives without state interference, generally speaking. You know what I mean? Like they live anarchically, like, just in their dealings with just talking to people, and when you see like the things that happen, like natural disasters, when people just sort of spontaneously come together and help each other. I think there was a situation in with the floods in Louisiana where there were people organized and like without any help from the state, which I don't think the government liked it very much that they did this, or actually helping each other and actually getting shit done, where often it doesn't get done. And it's just too bad that it didn't happen. That didn't happen more after Katrina, but it was just cries for Bush to come save them. It did
actually. What do they call it? The Cajun Navy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That wasn't after Katrina. Yeah. That was during the flooding that happened.
No. That happened with Katrina too.
The reason that they were that quickly mobilized was because that group of people had been doing it during Katrina.
Oh. Oh, see, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, there was
cool.
a small group of people that actually had been trying to do
And
it
then the
because
state tried to co-opt them.
Yeah.
they were
They were like, fuck off.
well, exactly, right there. Even in that, even in people trying to help people, even in people trying to help, even people trying to make their community better, safer, whatever, the government's getting in the way and telling you no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like that's
yeah,
the
but they're doing just fine until there is state interference. But it's like they may not say that they're being anarchistic, but they kind of are. I mean, it's like they're doing what needs to be done without government interference, at least for a time anyway.
Cooperation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, exactly. That's complete. Well, it's voluntarism at the very least, because it's just completely voluntary interactions where these people are saying, "This is what we're going to do. We want to do this. We're going to ask for money from the community," which I think they do because people do donate to them and stuff. Or at least that's the story I remember reading. But yeah. They want to, they're out there trying to do it, and that right there, that's the whole, everything we talk about. That's it in action, whether they recognize it or not, and most people won't. But that's what you're doing, because anarchy is not the scary word that most people think it is. That's really what it is.
It's just no government. That's all it means, people.
It's quite possible to coexist.
No rulers.
Yes.
Yeah.
More exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So. Well,
no archy.
No archy.
No archon.
Well, don't start that, because then you're going to get the hierarchy crap from the ANCOMs, and I don't feel like dealing with that all over again. So, anyway, well, I think we probably should get wrapping up soon.
Voluntary slavery is still slavery, Jeremy.
Thank you, Dave. Before we wrap up, anybody else want to say anything in closing before we get going?
Thanks so much for coming on, Dianna and Jonathan. You guys are great.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. It's fun.
Yeah, I hope we actually got to some topics of things you could do. I know we veered off there for a while, but, like I said, just for me, I wish more people would just think, think you could just do this stuff now and stop being so afraid and, try to talk to other people. Start these conversations we're talking about. You never know where you never know where you might find allies, and especially where when you're not expecting them.
Or like you said, live by example, and just let people notice that and start asking questions. Questions are good. Just don't be a dick when you ask questions. Just if you're really genuinely curious, don't be a dick about it.
Yeah,
that's impossible for me. Sorry.
We know this, Dave. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun, guys. So I too would like to thank you both for coming on and filling in for the vacated Danilo chair. This has been the Seeds of Liberty podcast.
Woo!
All of our information can be found at theseedsofliberty.com, and we will catch you next time. Peace.
Worms.
Worms.
Peace. Spread your seeds.
Uh-oh. Spread your seed.
Enemies is just enables you to see it too. Menial. Recently reading into the thesis here, mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though. Seeing is believing, yes, the reason is appealing most. Reading enemies is just enables you to see it too.
Now that you put it that way, I have the answer to that question. It's projection. That's what it is. It's not a cop-out to call us utopians. They're actually projecting their own self-hatred onto us.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.